Here's what nobody tells you. The person who retires at 45 didn't start with better genetics, better luck, or even better salary. They made one fundamental decision differently that compounds over time. They understood that early retirement isn't about waiting, it's about acceleration. Most people think the path looks like this: work for 40 years, get a gold watch, retire. Boring, predictable, over. But what if I told you there's an actual inflection point, a moment where your financial situation fundamentally shifts, and once you understand what creates that shift, you can engineer it? The difference between retiring at 67 and retiring at 45 isn't 15 years of extra saving. It's recognizing the one decision that changes everything. And we're going to reverse engineer it today. Welcome back to Wealth with Frank, where we build real wealth the smart way. I'm your host, Frank. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you. What we're covering today isn't the generic save 20% of your income stuff. This is about velocity, how fast you can move money through your financial system. Some people make $50,000 and retire in 15 years. Others make $150,000 and work until 70. The income isn't the variable, the velocity is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Look, let's start with something that sounds obvious, but isn't. Your first $50,000 is not the same as your next $50,000. This is critical. In year one of your career, let's say you make $40,000. You're living off it, building nothing. By year three, you're making $48,000, still living off it. That's the maintenance phase. You're basically in a holding pattern. But here's where it gets interesting. What if by year four, you've developed a skill that's actually marketable, not a side hustle, a skill velocity? Here's what I mean. You started as a regular employee making $48,000, but now you understand databases, or you understand video editing, or you understand how to sell. Suddenly, you can do contract work at $75 per hour instead of $22.60 as a salaried employee. That's not extra work, that's income compression. In 15 hours a month, you just made an extra $1,100. That's $13,200 per year. But here's the thing most people don't realize. That $13,200 is different from your salary. It's not tied to your presence. It's detached. Now you're in the acceleration phase. Let me show you the math. If you're saving 15% of your $48,000 salary, you've got $7,200 per year going to investments. But if you're also making that $13,200 contract income and putting 70% of it toward early retirement, you're now investing $16,260 per year. That's not incremental, that's multiplicative in terms of your timeline. Here's what happens over 10 years. Salary-only path. $7,200 times 10 years at 8% growth is roughly $97,000. Acceleration path, $16,260 times 10 years at 8% growth is roughly $221,000. Same person, same job, different decision. One person is looking at $97,000 and thinking, I need 15 more years. The other person is looking at $221,000 and thinking, I'm actually close. But here's what most people miss. That skill that generates $13,200 annually is not random. It comes from deliberately building it. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the type of skill determines your trajectory. You don't need to be a genius. You need to be a combination of skills that's rare enough to command premium income. Scott is a project manager. Decent salary, $65,000. But project managers are a dime a dozen. However, Scott also knows HTML and CSS from a personal project, and he learned to write really clearly. Now he can manage technical projects and actually understand the developer side. That combination, suddenly a company will pay him $95,000 instead of $65,000. Or he can contract manage technical projects at $120 per hour. Same base knowledge, different stack. And this is where it gets crucial. You don't need 5 years to build one skill. You need 4 months each to build 4 skills that intersect. Here's the actual formula. Pick a base skill you're already building, your job. Identify 2 skills that compound it, then 1 skill that helps you market it. Base skill, project management, $65,000 salaried income, plus skill 2, technical understanding, nights and weekends, 80 hours, plus skill 3, business fundamentals, online course, 40 hours, plus skill 4, communication and writing, practice, 60 hours, equals compressed timeline to 95,000 plus income. That's not get better at your job, that's architectural income design. And here's the psychological difference. It doesn't feel like grinding, it feels like building something. The person I worked with who did this, within 18 months, she went from $58,000 to $85,000 salaried, plus $1,200 monthly contract work. That's roughly a 55% income increase. At that rate, her path to early retirement compressed from 25 years to 14 years. That's not luck, that's systematic skill stacking. Now here's what nobody explains. There's an actual threshold. I call it the point of no return. It's the moment your saved wealth starts generating more money than your work does. Let's say you've got $180,000 saved. At 8% annual returns, that's $14,400 per year in passive income. If you're making $55,000 at your job, your passive income is now 26% of your earned income. Here's the psychological shift. You're not even halfway to financial independence, but suddenly your relationship to work changes. You're not desperate. You lose the scarcity mindset. And that's when people usually make terrible decisions. They panic, they spend, they sabotage. But if you understand that point of no return, you can navigate it. The actual number where you hit true freedom is usually around $800,000 to $1.2 million, depending on your lifestyle. That generates $65,000 to $95,000 annually at 8%. But here's the thing. You don't need to wait until $800,000 to feel the impact. You feel the impact at $150,000. And that moment happens faster if you're using acceleration, not just accumulation. This is the math most financial advisors won't show you because it's humbling. If you make $50,000 a year and save 15%, you're saving $7,500 annually. To reach $800,000, that's 107 years without investment returns. Even with 8% returns, you're looking at 30-plus years. But if you compress that to $25,000 saved annually through acceleration and skill stacking, suddenly you're looking at 18 to 20 years. That's not magic, that's intentional architecture. Here's what makes this actually work, though, and this is where most people fail. You can't just skill stack and hope. You need what I call income layering. Layer 1 is your job. Don't quit it, it's your stability. Layer 2 is contract/freelance income from your skill stack. Layer 3 is strategic small business income. Not a business that requires your time, but one that requires your system. This could be an online course, a productized service, digital assets, affiliate income, or content that generates passive revenue. And here's the key. You're not starting layer 3 until layer 2 is stable. Most people flip this and fail because they're dividing attention. The people I've tracked who hit $800,000 by age 42, they all had this same architecture. Solid job income, $70,000 to $100,000 annually. Contract income, $15,000 to $30,000 annually. Small automated income, $500 to $2,000 monthly. Investment growth. It's boring, it's not glamorous, but it's reproducible. So here's what you do starting today. Step 1. Identify your base skill. What are you already good at or building? Write it down. That's not changing. Step 2. Find 2 skills that compound it. Not random skills. Skills that make your base skill worth 30% more in the market. This takes a 30-minute conversation with someone doing what you want to do. Step 3. Test your stack. Don't launch a whole thing. Take one contract job or freelance gig in your skill area. See what the market will actually pay you. Step 4. Put 60% of that new income toward investments, not your salary, that contract income. That's the acceleration mechanism, and it compounds faster than you think. Early retirement isn't about being patient, it's about being smart with your acceleration. Your peers aren't retiring early because they're lucky. They're retiring early because they understood that income velocity is the lever. They built skills that compounded. They created layers. They didn't wait. And look, you might hit your point of no return at 42 instead of 38. That's not failure. That's still 25 years of freedom instead of 25 years of work. If this shifted how you think about your timeline, subscribe. Share this with someone crushing it at their job but stalled on the retirement dream. And comment below. Tell me which skill you're stacking this year. I read every single comment. I'm Frank. We'll talk soon.